मित्रांनो, आज आपल्या बरोबर अधिरथ लॉ ही संस्था आपल्याशी जुळलेली आहे. अधिरथ लॉ ही कंपनी 5 मित्रांनी मिळून चालू केलेली आहे. याचे ॲडव्होकेट मॅनेजिंग पार्टनर ॲडव्होकेट ऋषिकेश चितळे सर आहेत. यांनी पुण्यावरनं लॉ मध्ये डिग्री घेतलेली आहे. त्याच्यानंतर बरेच अवॉर्ड्स त्यांनी लॉच्या फील्डमध्ये, लीगल फील्डमध्ये त्यांना मिळालेले आहेत. त्याचबरोबर त्यांनी वेगवेगळ्या क्षेत्रात कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल लॉ, सिव्हिल, कमर्शियल, क्रिमिनल, एज्युकेशनल, सर्व्हिस मॅटर या संदर्भात ते प्रॅक्टिस करतात. गेल्या 3.5 वर्षापासून नागपूर इथे प्रॅक्टिस करतात आहेत. वेगवेगळ्या आर्ग्युमेंट्स त्यांनी प्रोव्हाइड केलेले आहेत सुप्रीम कोर्टामध्ये आणि सिनियर ॲडव्होकेट इन सुप्रीम कोर्ट तिथे पण त्यांनी काम केलेलं आहे. तर त्यांच्या टीम मधले जे बाकीचे मेंबर्स आहेत त्यात ऋषिकेश चितळे मॅनेजिंग पार्टनर्स आहेत, रोहित मसूरकर सर ते पण आपल्या बरोबर आज आहेत, ते या फर्मचे पार्टनर आहेत. तसंच आपल्या बरोबर आहेत ऋतेश पिंपळखुटे, तेही पार्टनर आहेत. त्याच्यानंतर सुयोग देशपांडे आणि सुयोग देशपांडे सरांबरोबर यशराज किनखेडे असा हा अधिरथ लॉचा त्यांनी एक संस्था सुरू केलेली आहे. या संस्थेच्या मार्फत आपली जी असोसिएशन आहे, असोसिएशन ऑफ कोचिंग इन्स्टिट्यूट, आपल्याला जेव्हा एखादा लॉ मधली एखादी लिगॅलिटी समजून घ्यायची असते तेव्हा हा वर्कफोर्स आपल्या पाठीशी उभा राहतो आणि आपल्याला गाईड करतो की कशा पद्धतीने आपण काम करायला पाहिजे. तर ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ असोसिएशन ऑफ कोचिंग इन्स्टिट्यूट नागपूर, on behalf of the members who are attending this particular meeting, as well as on behalf of participants all over the Maharashtra, we welcome you, the team Adhirath Law, to this particular Zoom meeting, and I hand over the mic to Hrishikesh Chitale sir to guide us on what are the consequences of pandemic and how we have to fight on different areas of legal part and bring the association to the top. I hand over the mic to Hrishikesh Chitale sir. Thank you sir for giving your valuable time.
Sir, I have one request.
Huh.
You can let me know what would be the medium most convenient to everyone so that I address in the same medium.
हिंदी इंग्लिश चालेल सर, म्हणजे सगळ्यांना समजेल.
Right. So, to start off with, first of all, I wish everyone is in good health and everyone is safe, and everyone here on remains safe further also. To start off with, that we have at hand is what are the consequences of the pandemic that we are facing today. Now, the medical consequences all of us are aware of, and fortunately we are safe. But the consequences going forward are going to be multiple. They are going to be the ramifications of the pandemic, which is likely to turn into an endemic, are going to be financial. The ramifications are also going to affect the manner in which you live your day-to-day life. And obviously there are going to be legal implications of how the pandemic affects each individual in his day-to-day function. Now we have on focus today the coaching institutions, which are obviously likely to be affected like everyone else by the pandemic, and are likely to face several issues which are likely to magnify with the pandemic taking full force. Now I'll jump straight to the topic rather than divulging myself in other things. We will directly focus on the objective of having this webinar. The objective is to ensure that there is a legally compliant and legally aware setup of coaching institutes, so that these coaching institutes have thorough awareness with respect to the contemporaneous and prospective legal issues that are to arise that are already subsisting with these institutions, and to help and provide continuous legal assistance wherever these coaching institutes require that. Now I will jump topic wise to various issues that we have during the course of our litigation identified, which are likely to have an impact on coaching institutes. These topics can be dealt with in two manner. One might be at an association level, where the coaching institutes association might be dealing with these cases, and one will be at an individual level, because these topics will vary. Like for instance, they might relate to GST, they might relate to statutes with respect to coaching institutions, they might relate to day-to-day concerns like contractual issues, advertising, etc. So first, probably what I would like to take up is what is the purpose of the association, and how and in what manner the association can deal with the legal issues that are subsisting and are likely to arise in view of the pandemic. Now, let us come to one issue that probably has incited all our interests. Like all partners, we were very keen to understand the issue of GST when it comes to coaching institutes. So the first topic that we come to take for discussion is GST. Now we are given to understand that 18% GST is imposed on coaching institutes for providing the services that they offer to students. Now, traditionally, what is argued and जो चीज हम बोलेंगे वो है कि यार school, college, they impart education. We are doing the same thing. Why GST waiver or lesser GST to schools, colleges, and more GST to coaching institutes? So we try to find out some rationale behind it. Now we'll come to it in a phased manner. Education starts, we are believers that education starts and continues till from your birth and continues till the time you die. That is, a hypothetical traditional concept. But come to look at it, that when you start your education since pre-primary, nursery, first standard, second standard, that is all primary education. And how do we decipher that this is primary education? Because it is governed in India by a statute, that is the Right to Education Act. It is a constitutionally guaranteed fundamental right of an individual under the Constitution. Therefore, this fundamental right that people have, wherever an institute is imparting education to meet this fundamental right under the framework, legal framework, probably there might be some exemption. जो exemption grant किया जाता है schools को. Then we come to colleges. So I was just discussing this with somebody who has closely worked, who was in the department and who is recently retired, as to what might be the rationale behind providing this exemption to all colleges also. Because primary education is guaranteed under the Constitution, all right, understandable that it is a basic requirement. But what about colleges, higher education? Why this exemption, or why lesser GST, if at all, is being imposed on these educational institutions? Now the answer came that you are all imparting education of government recognized courses. Probably that might be a rationale. Now we are just discussing this. So this issue comes up from the gentleman. Now the rationale is fine that it's a government recognized course that I'm teaching, and wherever it's a government recognized course, there is a GST exemption available. Now my first thought that came to my mind is that whenever you are dealing with higher education, there is a threshold after 12th standard where you get into these courses. Now look at any course, medical, engineering, even for that matter, now the legal course, like for admission to LLB, Yasharaj sir, which is the course, there is an exam, entrance exam conducted for private colleges also. So now there is an entrance exam which is conducted as a threshold level for admission to any professional course. Now, if you have this entrance exam as a threshold, whether this entrance exam is recognized by the government, now we just ran across various examinations that are conducted. Consider AIEEE, consider NEET, consider PMT. Now it's MHP CET if I'm not wrong. All of these courses are recognized by the government, are being conducted under the aegis of statutory authorities. Is there any college or otherwise a recognized school, college, or institution which is imparting as a part of its curriculum training for the purposes of these entrance examinations? Now we looked up, the answer is no. We have not come across, there may be, but we have not come across any college or institution which probably is providing to students any specialized training to undertake these entrance examinations. Now consider it as a circumstance, आप बच्चों को 12th तक पढ़ाते हैं, 12th तक पढ़ाने के बाद जहां पर उनका प्रोफेशनल कोर्सेज सिलेक्ट करने की बारी आती है, गवर्नमेंट रिकॉग्नाइज्ड प्रोफेशनल कोर्सेज, वहां पर आप कोई भी उनको फैसिलिटी नहीं प्रोवाइड कर रहा है गवर्नमेंट, either थ्रू स्कूल्स और कॉलेजेस. आपने बस एक एंट्रेंस एग्जाम का बैरियर लगा दिया कि बच्चों 12th तक पढ़ो, 12th के बाद एक एंट्रेंस एग्जाम होगा, then you enter these professional courses. Now coaching institutes, if I'm not wrong, are the only institutions which have specialized coaching for such entrance examination. So if this is the scenario, then are you also not discharging a duty towards educating students and training them to undertake a examination which is recognized by the government and is the threshold for a student to enter into a professional degree course? Now, the moment I explain this logic, the answer that came is this requires thought. इस पे सोचना पड़ेगा यार, ये लॉजिक पे सोचना पड़ेगा. अब क्या हुआ, एक महाराष्ट्र एडवांस, सुयोग सर, व्हाट वाज द रूलिंग? महाराष्ट्र एडवांस, महाराष्ट्र अथॉरिटी फॉर एडवांस रूलिंग, इनका एक डिसीजन था 18% जीएसटी के ऊपर. इफ यू गूगल इट probably you will get to it as soon. Now that ruling they have denied 18% कि आपको 18% लागू होगा, कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूट्स को एग्जेम्पशन नहीं है. फिर कई लोगों ने रिप्रेजेंटेशन किया, इफ आई एम नॉट रॉन्ग, द रिप्रेजेंटेशन इज मेड टू द फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर, यूनियन मिनिस्टर ऑफ फाइनेंस. Then that representation probably, if I'm not wrong, again this is again from sources which are there in the news, because these items are not available for public information otherwise, that the representation was referred back to be made to respective state authorities. Now what happens is that unless you make a representation which is specific, raises all points and is appealing, there is probably no action that is likely to be taken. मान लीजिए 10,000, 50,000, 1,00,000 कोचिंग क्लासेस है and 10-15 are making a representation with respect to GST. I don't think 10-15 का grievance के लिए somebody is going to show indulgence and take action. Ideally they should, even for one. So in such instances, associations are appropriate authorities for all such coaching institutions to approach, and through association such representations need to be made which can canvass all these points, the points that we discussed, that we are the only sector in the education field who are imparting training and education to students to undertake these examinations. Now let us look at one more aspect which can be dealt with by coaching institutions. Now I am also not oblivious to the fact that the representation might not be entertained also, in spite of having been made through associations. But the point is that once you canvass it through the association, you are making an industry-wide grievance with the authority. अब जैसे आप representation करते हो, there are various modes of taking it ahead as to how you at least have the authority apply its mind to your representation. Now we'll come to another point which was widely publicized, which is widely publicized time and over. जैसे एक statute है coaching institutions को regulate करने के लिए. अब बीच में हर 2-4 साल बाद, हर 2 साल बाद कहीं ना कहीं से न्यूज आती है कि अभी कोई बिल आएगा जिससे कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूट्स को रेगुलेट किया जाएगा. अब we just again did some research to identify as to whether there is such a bill, because as lawyers we need to identify what is the law which is upcoming, what is the law that is likely to be passed. So we have to keep ourselves abreast of this. So we came across 3 bills which have been introduced over and over, some in the state legislatures, some in the union, the parliament. Now these 3 bills, if I may enlist them for you, are the coaching centers regulation and control bill. ये आया था 2007 में. ये बिल के बाद एक और बिल आया प्राइवेट कोचिंग सेंटर्स रेगुलेटरी बोर्ड बिल 2016 में. उसके बाद एक और बिल अवेलेबल है. These bills are readily available. If you Google it, you will probably also get it. जिसमें था महाराष्ट्र प्राइवेट ट्यूशन रेगुलेशन बिल 2008। अब ये बिल इंटर आलिया क्या करना चाहते थे कि देयर इज सम मिनिमम क्वालिफिकेशंस फॉर टीचिंग स्टाफ जो होने चाहिए, मेंटेनेंस ऑफ मिनिमम टीचिंग स्टाफ एंड मेंटेनिंग ए स्टूडेंट टीचर रेशो, जो भी वो बोल रहे हैं होना चाहिए। देन देयर इज a provision for basic amenities which a coaching institute as a mandatory provision has to provide. फिर था regulation of fees payment, refunds के बारे में regulation था. Then there were certain provisions, machinery provisions also there. अब बात ये है कि the question is whether coaching institutes can be governed or can be regulated by such a statutory provision. They can be in case the parliament or legislature proposes to pass such legislation. Now the question is, how do you cater to your interests being protected and the legislation not imposing a challenging situation for you where your rights are being violated during the course of your business? If you don't, अगर हम ही suggest नहीं करते हैं कोई चीजें, तो वो बिल में आएगी कि नहीं पता नहीं। जब भी कोई legislation आने वाला होता है, whenever it is tabled in the parliament, it is up for discussions. आपको आपके इंडस्ट्री के बारे में, आपके डे टू डे चैलेंजेस के बारे में who better can inform the legislature or put it before an appropriate authority than the association or than the coaching institute themselves. So the question over here is, अगर बिल आ गया तो क्या, अगर बिल आने वाला होगा तो क्या, अगर बिल आने के बाद उसमें ये नहीं रहा, उससे हमें ये नुकसान हो गया, अगर उसमें ये नहीं रहा तो अभी हमारे ऊपर ये रिस्ट्रिक्शन आ गया, तो क्या होगा? Over here, what we would like to invite your attention to is, coaching institutes is I have graduated from Pune. Before going to Pune, I was also in one of the coaching institutes in Nagpur. The point is, coaching institutes is invariably opted for by, if not the entire majority, but a vast majority of the students. These coaching institutes, time and over, there have been considerations. जैसे 3 बिल देख रहे हैं हम, ये 3 बिल का रिफ्लेक्शन यही है कि लेजिस्लेचर कहीं ना कहीं कभी ना कभी चाहता है कि कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूट्स को गवर्न करने के लिए, रेगुलेट करने के लिए कोई लॉ आए। अगर ये मंशा है, कभी ना कभी आने वाला है, तो इट इज आवर बाउंडेड ड्यूटी आल्सो टू एंश्योर कि हमारे जो कंसर्न्स है, हम कोई लॉ आने से रोक तो नहीं सकते, लेकिन हमारे जो कंसर्न्स है वो कम से कम एड्रेस हो जाए। इसके लिए हम एक मॉडल रिप्रेजेंट करें कि हमारे ये कंसर्न्स है, आप जब भी लॉ लाने वाले हो या तो जब भी इट इज अप फॉर डिस्कशंस, वेरेवर और व्हेनेवर यू आर गोइंग टू इंट्रोड्यूस ए बिल, प्रिपेयर ए बिल, kindly take into consideration A, B, C, D. These are the issues which are common for all the institutes. These are the issues which can be identified and represented by the associations themselves. And when associations make a reference to these, कुछ पॉइंट्स जो हमारे बेनिफिट्स में भी रहे, वो भी हमें एक्सप्रेस करने का एक मैकेनिज्म और मीडियम मिले। Now these are points which can be dealt with at an association level. जैसे individually हम अगर जाके represent करते हैं, again the question is whether they are industry-wide issues, whether they are industry-wide desires. So these industry-wide desires wherever, or industry-wide issues wherever they have to be dealt with, they have to be dealt with by the association, and they can be effectively dealt with by the association because the representation by the association would indicate that the number of members in the association concur with these issues and concur with whatever the association is saying. जब भी आप इसको represent करोगे, it will, I am not saying that it is mandatory for them to consider, but I am saying ultimately कि you have done your bit, which is a precautionary or a prudent measure for any coaching institute or any association to take. जब भी कोई law आएगा regulate करने हमें. Now this is hypothetically speaking. GST तो एक contemporaneous issue है जो हर एक आदमी के दिमाग में चल ही रहा है, but legislation is a contemporaneous issue. It's a long work. Now at the same time, what I would probably also want all of us to understand is कि why do you want associations to form? Why do you want associations to cater to interests of the individuals? Associations are basically there to cater to interests of all its members, and common issues which arise between such members can be focused and worked upon by these associations. So जब भी कोई भी इशू ऐसा आता है कि which deals with industry wide problems, it is most appropriate and apt to take it up at the association level. Secondly, now जब अब जैसे hypothetical issues बोला तो day to day legal issues पे आ जाते हैं. अब day to day I am coming to post COVID in some time because that is probably what everybody at present might be interested in. But let us analyze the issues that we also face in day to day conduct of the coaching institutions. अब डे टू डे लीगल कंसर्न्स क्या है हमारे? कॉन्ट्रैक्चुअल इश्यूज होते हैं, एडवर्टाइजिंग के इश्यूज होते हैं, लेबर के इश्यूज मे बी है, मे बी होंगे, मे बी होते हैं, देन रेंटल्स के इश्यूज होते हैं, फिर स्टूडेंट रिलेटेड मैटर्स होते रहते हैं, इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी राइट्स के इश्यूज होते हैं, जिसपे हमने कभी प्रॉब्ली वी हैव नॉट हमने सोचा नहीं है ये सब चीजों के बारे में. लेकिन एज आई एक्सप्लेन प्रॉब्ली some of you will also understand that yes, we are someday or the other facing this issue. फिर म्युनिसिपल लॉ रिलेटेड इश्यूज होते हैं. Now just let us take up contractual issues. What do we mean by contractual issues? Whenever you are establishing a coaching institution, right from the inception, jagah either you take on lease or you have your own. If you take on lease, rent, license, contract आ गया. आपने स्टाफ एंगेज किया, अपॉइंटमेंट लेटर दिया, वो भी कॉन्ट्रैक्ट हो गया. आपने टर्म्स एंड कंडीशंस इंसर्ट किए, स्टूडेंट्स एडमिट किए, वो टर्म्स एंड कंडीशंस भी एक कॉन्ट्रैक्चुअल नेचर में हो गए. देन अंडरटेकिंग्स लिए आपने स्टूडेंट से, वो भी कॉन्ट्रैक्चुअल नेचर में हो गए. आपने पेमेंट टर्म्स ले डाउन कर दिए एडमिट करते वक्त स्टूडेंट्स को, वो भी कॉन्ट्रैक्चुअल नेचर में हो गए. तो ये सारे जगह पर आपका इंटरेक्शन कॉन्ट्रैक्ट एक्ट से आता है. ये सारी जगह पर आपको अवेयरनेस चाहिए कि व्हाट इज द कॉन्ट्रैक्ट एक्ट, कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में क्या डालने से हमें बेनिफिट होता है, हमारे राइट्स प्रोटेक्ट होते हैं, क्या डालने से ये कॉन्ट्रैक्ट फेयर रहता है, कहाँ पर इसके इश्यूज आइडेंटिफाई होने चाहिए, कहाँ आ सकते हैं. बिकॉज यू डोंट नो आज हम जब कॉन्ट्रैक्ट कर रहे हैं तो क्या हो सकता है, कल क्या हो सकता है, वी डोंट नो. अब जैसे देखिए एम्प्लॉय कॉन्ट्रैक्ट होते हैं, एम्प्लॉय कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स में रिस्ट्रिक्शंस इंपोज कर सकते हैं. मान लीजिए कोई एम्प्लॉय है, ही इज वांटिंग टू लीव योर एस्टेब्लिशमेंट मिडवे, क्लासेस चालू है, आधा कोर्स हो गया, मिडवे उनको छोड़ के जाना है. अब उस पे कोई रिस्ट्रिक्शन हमने ऑर्डिनरी तो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में अगर डाला नहीं है तो हम बीच में अटक जाएंगे. हाउ कैन वी एनफोर्स इट अगेंस्ट दैट पर्सन? अगर मान लीजिए सैलरी रिलेटेड इश्यूज है तो हाउ कैन वी एड्रेस दोज इश्यूज इन द एम्प्लॉय कॉन्ट्रैक्ट? अगर मान लीजिए कि वर्किंग आवर्स का कोई इशू है, अगर स्पेसिफाइड नहीं है, हाउ कैन वी रेगुलेट दोज थ्रू दिस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट? So there should be some model forms that we follow industry wide so that they become specific for us. अब जैसे आप एक फीस के बारे में देख लीजिए, एक now it might be in vogue कि हर एक इसमें कंडीशन होगी, in under any circumstance we shall not be refunding the fees once you have been admitted. अब ये कब एनफोर्स कर सकते हैं आप, कब एनफोर्स नहीं कर सकते, किस तरीके से एनफोर्स कर सकते हैं? कोई लोग अभी फीस वापस मांग रहे हैं, उनको क्या जवाब देना है? व्हाट इज द मोडस ऑपरेंडी, और व्हाट आर आवर राइट्स अंडर दिस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट? व्हाट हैपेंस व्हेन अ स्टूडेंट साइंस दैट? व्हाट हैपेंस व्हेन अ पेरेंट साइंस दैट अंडरटेकिंग और अग्रीज टू दोस टर्म्स एंड कंडीशंस, एंड व्हाट आर द कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस देयरऑफ? ये सब चीजें समझने के लिए कॉन्ट्रैक्ट एक्ट के जो डे टू डे इश्यूज होते हैं, इसमें you will have to analyze and understand what are the consequences of day to day interactions and issues that take place. जैसे आप agreements with vendors and service providers देख लीजिए. अब for instance we provide study material to students, maybe in the nature of books, maybe in the nature of digital material. वहां पर आपके vendor contracts आ जाते हैं. vendor contracts के बारे में क्या सोचेंगे हम? vendor contracts के बारे में हम ये सोचते हैं कि हमने इससे मटेरियल ले लिया, इसको सप्लाई कर दिया, बात खत्म हो गई. जनरली तो वो कोई इशू नहीं आएगा. आपने मान लीजिए मटेरियल बना के दिया वो वेंडर को डिजिटली इलेक्ट्रॉनिक फॉर्मेट में प्रोवाइड करने के लिए, वो वेंडर ने उसका मिसयूज कर दिया तो क्या? वेदर दैट कंडीशन इज देयर दैट ही विल नॉट मिसयूज, वेदर अ कंडीशन इज देयर दैट द आईपीआर बिलोंग्स टू यू. सो ये सारी चीजें कॉन्ट्रैक्चुअल इश्यूज में आती है. मे बी वी हैव इंटरेक्टेड विद ऑल दीज इश्यूज, मे बी वी हैव नॉट इंटरेक्टेड विद ऑल दीज इश्यूज, बट विद द ऑनसेट ऑफ कोविड नाउ there is a likelihood that these issues might crop up more often than not. Like for instance, employees leaving jobs, employee teaching staff leaving jobs, students asking for refunds, then students asking for partial refunds, these issues are likely to crop up frequently now, especially because of the onset of COVID and the manner in which we are going to be conducting the business of coaching institutions. Now, pardon me, I call it business more often than not, but it is, I don't consider it as a purely commercial operation, that when you are running a coaching institute, आप कोई purely commercial operation नहीं कर रहे हैं. What you are doing is you are imparting education to students, you are interested in their welfare. कोई भी कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूशन ये नहीं चाहता कि उसमें जो बच्चा पढ़ रहा है उसको अच्छे मार्क ना मिले. Everybody wants that students who are being taught, they should get good marks, they should learn. So they become the brand ambassadors for these coaching institutions. So though it is referred to as business, don't misunderstand me, I am not considering it as business. When I say business, it is so that whenever you are doing this duty of imparting education, you are imposing certain commercials on the students, which you are bound to take. अब दूसरी बात आप एक और देख लीजिए, एडवर्टाइजिंग. अब बहुत बार ये इशू रहता है कि अब आई हैव सीन इट पर्सनली, कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूशंस की एडवर्टाइजमेंट्स, दे आर फ्लेक्सेस पुट अप, फिर न्यूज़पेपर एडवर्टाइजमेंट्स है एंड ईमेल्स है. देन अभी देयर आर एडवर्टाइजमेंट्स आल्सो ऑन सोशल मीडिया, देयर आर एडवर्टाइजमेंट्स ऑन टेलीविजन. Now these advertising related issues are also governed by a code. Advertising Standards Council of India, ये इनको सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने रिकॉग्निशन दिया था, हाई कोर्ट ने भी रिकॉग्निशन दिया था कि ये कोड सेटअप करते हैं, ये कोड के हिसाब से एडवर्टाइजिंग होना चाहिए. If you violate that code, a complaint can be filed with the Advertising Standards Council of India. जब भी हम टीवी देखते हैं वहां पर एक नीचे में एडवर्टाइजमेंट चलते रहता है, तो एक बैंड आता है that the advertisement complies with Advertising Standard Council of India code, etc. Ab any grievance is there, that has to be taken up with the Advertising Standard Council. Now these issues are inter se, and these issues are related to personal and individual coaching institutions, not to be canvassed at the institutional association level. But how do you regulate it at the association level? Probably if you have a code of conduct for the association, कि all coaching association members shall follow this conduct. Now over there you will have some minimum requirement, some maximum limit where advertisements are regulated. I am not saying how you do it, it has to be regulated. What I am saying is whatever advertising is done has to be done in conformity with that code. So you cannot violate that code and advertise as and in what manner you like. That is what I am suggestive of. At the same time advertising related litigation भी होता है, civil cases होते हैं, and cases emerge from these advertisements. Supposing you have advertised something, whether जैसे to illustrate, when you advertise something, whether it is understood by the person who is receptive to that advertisement in the same advertisement looks at it in a different manner. नहीं, मैं ये कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूट में गया, मेरे को 90% मिल नहीं है, this is what is लेबर तो हमारे पास इतना है ही नहीं. Now the question is whether you are governed by a statute or not. Discrimination is there in that particular statute. For instance, PF. अब PF हमें अप्लाई होता है या नहीं होता? ग्रेचुइटी हमें अप्लाई होती है या नहीं होती? ESIC हमें अप्लाई होते हैं या नहीं होते? अब ये जो चीजें हैं, that is establishment specific. हर एस्टेब्लिशमेंट का स्ट्रेंथ ऑफ एम्प्लॉइज देख के, वर्कफोर्स देख के ये डिसाइड होता है. अब मान लीजिए एक देयर आर इलस्ट्रेशंस कि आई विल गिव यू एन एग्जांपल, आई वोंट कोट द नेम्स, बट देयर वाज ए एस्टेब्लिशमेंट जो एक ईटिंग मतलब रेस्टोरेंट था. मान लीजिए वो रेस्टोरेंट पीएफ से गवर्न होता था. उन्होंने पीएफ का कभी उनको आइडिया नहीं था, पीएफ भरा नहीं. somebody informed the employees that you are governed by PF. Some employee filed a complaint. Ultimately it's so realized कि सारे employees का PF जाके इतना हो रहा था that the establishment chose to sell its business to somebody else. It closed down. जगह बेच के, establishment बेच के, dues satisfy करके it closed down the business. We don't want to be caught in such a catch-22 situation. That is the objective कि जब भी आपको ये ऐसी चीजें लगती है जब भी आपको ये ऐसी चीजें सामने आती है, you have to ensure that your coaching institute is legally compliant with all these labor norms as well. अब rentals, instead of coming to rentals, probably that's an exhaustive topic. We'll come to student related matters first. अब student related क्या matters होते हैं, क्या legal implications होते हैं, क्या नहीं होते हैं. अब student related matters में ऐसा है कि there is a policy regarding payment of fees that all of you follow. जैसे हमने बोला कि refund मिलेगा नहीं मिलेगा, partial refund कब मिलेगा, कितने दिन में आप छोड़ सकते हो कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूशन, कितने दिन के बाद आप छोड़ नहीं सकते हो कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूशन. अब ये जो पॉलिसी रिलेटेड टू पेमेंट ऑफ फीस है, ये ऑर्डिनरली कोई कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूट में एज ए मैटर ऑफ रेगुलर प्रैक्टिस पॉलिसी फ्रेम करके नहीं रखी हुई. इट्स ओनली द टर्म्स एंड कंडीशंस दैट यू हैव. अब कोविड के बाद स्पेशली फॉर दिस ईयर, प्रॉब्ली नेक्स्ट ईयर से तो ये इशू टू ए सर्टेन एक्सटेंट सबसाइड भी हो जाएगा, लेकिन focusing on this year, there are going to be issues which relate to students demanding fees back from the coaching institutions. Now, for instance, physical coaching होना था, वो physical teaching में तो कम से कम students used to come, sit, attend classes. अब जब घर पे e-learning होता है, तब students, we are not in control of what they are doing. How much time they are dedicating to a class, whether they are not attending class, whether they are attending the class. Or whether they are understanding, whether they are even looking at the video, it's very difficult to understand. Technology कहीं कहीं मदद करती है हमारी, but it's difficult to understand. So ये policy relating to fees, अब ये होने के बाद में पेरेंट्स देखते हैं कि बच्चे घर पे ही बैठे हैं, वो टैबलेट पे देख रहे हैं, मोबाइल पे देख रहे हैं, कितना टाइम क्लास अटेंड कर रहे हैं, कितना टाइम गेम खेल रहे हैं, nobody knows. So this leads to a tendency to say कि नहीं, whether we want coaching or not, it starts from there. कि नहीं यार ये डिजिटल है, ये हमें चाहिए नहीं, हम किताबें लाएंगे, बच्चों को पढ़वाएंगे, पढ़ने लगाएंगे और वहीं से वो पढ़ेंगे. So these situations will crop up for this year, for which you have to be aware and you have to know all the consequences, implications, and you have to set right a policy that you adopt. अब मान लीजिए for instance you decide, I am taking a thoroughly hypothetical example. मान लीजिए for instance you have 100 students, 100 में से 90 बच्चे they have paid the full fees, 10 students they have paid about 75% of fees. अब आपने डिमांड नहीं की उनसे 25% फीस. अब योर थॉट इज कि कोविड आया है, हाउ टू डिमांड फीस फ्रॉम स्टूडेंट्स. नाउ इट इज डिफिकल्ट फॉर एवरीवन, नाउ लेट इट बी. उन्होंने आपने बोला कि इलेक्ट्रॉनिक मीडियम पे शिफ्ट हो गया, नाउ वी आर नॉट डिमांडिंग द रिमेनिंग 25%. नाउ यू डोंट नो, आउट ऑफ दिस 10 दे विल इन्फॉर्म द रेस्ट 90 कि आपने बाकी 90 लोगों से 100% फीस दी, ये 10 बच्चों को क्यों एग्जम्पशन दिया. Now you do it as a matter of goodwill, but we don't know what is going to happen subsequently and how is it going to come back to us. अब मान लीजिए आप एक अंडरस्टैंडिंग है कि हमने इसको कन्वर्ट कर दिया ई-लर्निंग में. नाउ स्टूडेंट्स आर डिमांडिंग फीस. 10 बच्चे आए हमारे पास आउट ऑफ 100 आस्किंग कि हमें फीस रिफंड करो. हमने 10 बच्चों को कॉन्ट्ररी टू पॉलिसी में तो लिखा हुआ है हमने कि फीस मिलेगी नहीं वापस, लेकिन हमने दे दी फीस वापस. अब वो 10 बच्चों के साथ बाकी के जुड़ के और 50 आ गए, फिर क्या करेंगे. Then you have to treat everyone equally. Like it's always a cardinal principle of law. All equals have to be treated equally. All unequals can be treated unequally. But you cannot have a situation where you treat equals unequally and unequals equally. So ये अगर आपको ensure करना है, you have to be aware of these principles. जैसी ये चीजें हैं, you have to be aware of these situations. अब student related matters में और क्या हो सकता है. Consumer cases. Now you don't know. Generally, ordinarily, consumer cases may be entertained, may not be entertained. But now looking at how COVID has enhanced deficiency in service. अब deficiency in service यानी क्या? इन्होंने मुझे effective medium provide नहीं किया. इन्होंने मुझे effective coaching provide नहीं किया. Effective coaching यानी मेरे 2-3 lecture ये topics पे cover ही नहीं हुए. अब cover नहीं हुए यानी whether you did not take those, whether you did not attend those, whether those were not necessary, whether there was an advisory that these topics will not be covered, they have to be studied on your own. ये सब चीजों के लिए deficiency in service भी होने की possibility है. Now you never know what happens and what person can file a complaint seeking deficiency in service. And consumer courts are generally places where a consumer can go and say that मैंने ये सर्विस इनसे लेनी चाहिए जो कोचिंग की थी, इन्होंने क्रैश कोर्स में मुझे 5 टेस्ट लेने चाहिए, 5 के जगह 4 ही कंडक्ट हुए. अब जब 4 कंडक्ट हुए, we have revised our model, we have done 10 other things. They will not be concerned with that. They will file a complaint saying that इनके ब्रोशर में लिखा था 5 होंगे, अब कोविड आ गया, उसके बाद इन्होंने 5 करने चाहिए थे ऑनलाइन. They will not test the efficacy of the point कि 4, when you're taking it online, probably 4 might be sufficient or probably 6 might be required. So ये जो चीजें हैं, इसमें भी आपको, you also have to be aware of these aspects, that how do you establish that you have provided whatever service that you had assured at the beginning in spite of the change in medium. Now what has COVID basically done is, COVID has basically changed the medium from physical code to virtual code, from physical learning to e-learning, from physical presence to electronic presence. Like we are having this electronic meeting right now, we are not having a physical meeting. So it has basically only changed the medium. It has not changed the manner in which you teach. It has not changed the content that you are going to teach, or it is also not going to change the content of the examination. So this is to be understood by everyone, and this is also to be taken note of while you prepare for imparting e-learning, to ensure that nothing comes back to you unnecessarily. अब आप साथ ही में ये देखिए कि इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी राइट्स की क्या इश्यूज है. अब इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी राइट्स के इश्यूज जनरली हमें ऐसे आते हैं कि स्टडी मटेरियल हमने बना के दिया टीचर को, एंड टीचर इज क्लेमिंग इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी राइट्स ओवर इट. या तो स्टडी मटेरियल टीचर ने बनाया एंड द टीचर इज गोइंग अवे विद दैट इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी राइट. अब स्टडी मटेरियल बनाते वक्त आपने, यू हैव फंडेड द एंटायर टीचिंग, you have given salary, so who will this intellectual property right in the content of what you teach belong to? Now this is a very big issue, generally does not occur immediately across the board, लेकिन कहीं से आप you understand it as an afterthought कि ये तो कंटेंट मैं सिखा रहा था, ये कंटेंट लेके कहीं और चला गया, खुद का कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूट चालू कर दिया. So that is where in employee contract, जैसे हमने बोला इंटरैक्टिव इश्यूज होते हैं, ये एम्प्लॉय कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में आपको इनकॉर्पोरेट करनी पड़ेगी टर्म एंड कंडीशन विद रिस्पेक्ट टू इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी राइट्स, कॉपीराइट. अब ट्रेडमार्क हो गया. ट्रेडमार्क में द एसेंस इज ब्रांड प्रोटेक्शन. यू हैव अ ब्रांड, एवरी कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूट हैज इट्स ओन ब्रांड. नाउ देयर इज अ प्रोसेस ऑफ रजिस्ट्रेशन ऑफ ट्रेडमार्क्स, वेदर वी हैव डन इट और नॉट. फिर किसी ने सेम ट्रेडमार्क कॉपी कर लिया, डिसेप्टिवली सिमिलर कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूट्स एस्टैब्लिश हो गए. सो हाउ टू अवॉइड दैट? अगेन ओवर हियर आप अगर एक मॉडल कोड ऑफ कंडक्ट रहेगा, तो then that model code of conduct will prohibit कि deceptively similar चीजें नहीं करनी है, brand protection ensure करना है हर एक coaching institute का. So this is a part of the model code of conduct that probably you can have as the association can probably have a project, the model code of conduct. Then you can have probably issues relating to municipal laws, जैसे shops and establishment permissions है, फिर fire safety compliances है. अब fire safety compliances में fire हुई, उसके वजह से बहुत सारे एस्टेब्लिशमेंट बंद भी हो गए, फायर सेफ्टी कंप्लायंट नहीं है इसीलिए भी बंद हो गए. हाउ टू एंश्योर दैट फायर सेफ्टी कंप्लायंस इज मेट? व्हाट इज द रिक्वायरमेंट, व्हाट इज नॉट द रिक्वायरमेंट, वेयर द अथॉरिटीज आर आस्किंग यू क्वेश्चंस व्हिच यू आर नॉट लायबल टू आंसर. अब जैसे एग्जांपल, इन ए बिल्डिंग आई एम रनिंग ए कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूट ऑन द 3rd floor, रेस्ट ऑफ द बिल्डिंग आल्सो हैज द सेम फैसिलिटीज एज द 3rd floor, बट नोटिस आता है तब मुझे नोटिस आता है, व्हाई नॉट टू द एंटायर बिल्डिंग? Fire safety is required not only for a single floor, it is required building wise, it is required premises wise, it is not required business wise. That has to be understood. And if things are beyond your control, they cannot impose upon you a restriction. So ये जो चीज है, फायर सेफ्टी कंप्लायंस तो हमें करना ही करना है, बट दे कैनॉट इंसिस्ट कि 3rd फ्लोर पे आप कर रहे हो तो 1st फ्लोर का भी करके दो, और यू शुड बी इन ए पोजीशन टू टेक इट अप विद द 1st फ्लोर ऑक्यूपेंट्स. अब सेकेंडली आप बात देखिए, म्युनिसिपल लॉ कंप्लायंसेस में पार्किंग का इशू आता है. आई थिंक यशराज सर knows it. Yashraj sir, there was a PIL. There was a PIL also which was filed relating to parking issues in Nagpur. Now that PIL considered various aspects. One of the aspects probably was also parking of students who are coming to coaching institutions. Ab there are probably the corporation or the respective authority might enforce a strict parking facility that is to be made available for a coaching institute, or strict method of parking. If you have not ensured that method of parking, आपके ऊपर एक्शन लिया जाएगा. So ये जब ये चीजें आ रही है, ये जब चीजें होने वाली है, this is again an issue to be taken at a association level as well as at individual level, because complaints can be made against these coaching institutes by residents nearby, or it can be made lump sum as all coaching institutes को regulate करने के लिए parking का issue हमें deal करना होगा. अब coaching classes residential area में चालू कर सकते हैं क्या? That is also one big question. अब commercial streets नागपुर में कितनी है? कम है. अब वो छोड़ के आप रेसिडेंशियल एरिया में चालू कर सकते हैं क्या? नहीं कर सकते हैं क्या? अब आप सोसाइटी में कोई मान लीजिए कोई सोसाइटी में आपको आपका एस्टेब्लिशमेंट चालू करना है, ब्रांच चालू करना है, वेदर यू कैन टेक इट फ्रॉम देम, वेदर ट्रस्ट ने रेजोल्यूशन पास किया है क्या लेट आउट करने को प्रॉपर्टी, वेदर सोसाइटी ने रेजोल्यूशन पास किया है क्या. So these are again questions which relate to municipal compliances and other compliances when you are dealing in day-to-day businesses. अब इसमें identically there are some statutory compliances also that have to be maintained जो labor में आते हैं. So these are issues that come to all coaching institutions or are likely to come to all coaching institutions in their day-to-day interaction. Now the objective is, इसमें I am not saying or we are not saying that there is a likelihood of you facing some legal trouble. We are only saying that you have to be aware of all these circumstances and you have to be aware of all these statutory provisions and comply with all statutory provisions always. अब post COVID क्या क्या हो सकता है? अब there are operational issues. Now Suyog sir was telling me कि schools के लिए already there is an SOP, standard operating procedure, which is being discussed. One student on one bench. Now what about coaching institutions? It is most likely that coaching institutions, they might want to replicate the same. But like the difficulty that we face, coaching institutes may, we have a limited area. In schools, colleges, they have a big establishment, they have a bigger area available. They can have it scheduled in that manner, unlike coaching institutes. So now what happens is when they permit you to start at 15% strength, 25% strength, अब आप एक class conduct करते थे, probably you will have to conduct 4 classes if you have to teach all those students. What happens in such circumstances? तो ये सब चीजें जो है वो post COVID with respect to operational issues are likely to come. So again, this has to be taken up at an association level where you formulate a or make a representation to the respective authority that this is the SOP that we suggest. This is the SOP that is feasible. This is the SOP that will comply with social distancing. Then what happens as the outbreak of COVID expands and there are norms pertaining to how you deal with your students or the timing of your classes. Now, जैसे जैसे ये बढ़ता जाएगा और जैसे जैसे इसका interaction और implication आता जाएगा, now you are doing e-learning, but gradually with the subsiding of COVID, these norms are likely to stay in force as a preventive measure. So it is not going to be immediately applicable because at present when you are doing e-learning, you are doing it through electronic medium. But when students start coming back to the coaching institute, that is the time when you are going to face these issues. So what is the SOP that coaching institutes probably might suggest to follow? Now in this, why I am saying at an association level, because you have to cater to the lowest of the low and you have to cater to the highest of the high. सारे लोगों को feasible जो है, that is an SOP. So when you yourself come forth and suggest an SOP, it has greater value. It has good appeal. Then we come to one issue, probably I don't know to what extent all of us know about it. It's a competition law issue. Now competition law it's an act that is enacted by the parliament to ensure that there is free and fair competition across all businesses. There is no anti-competitive practice adopted and the competition remains healthy. Now what is an anti-competitive practice? It might be anything under the sun. Something which restricts competition. Something which restricts a healthy competition. Something which imposes fetters on people participating in a particular business. अब ये जो चीजें हैं anti-competitive practices, ये we feel it that नहीं ये कुछ तो भी anti-competitive हो रहा है, but we are never able to take any action. So anti-competitive practices क्या होती हैं? When you formulate a code for the association's members to follow, then you can probably incorporate that as a part of your anti-competitive practices prohibition. Now these are places where you are going to face reactions from all your members, but you have to form a policy and a code which is acceptable to all, so that the entire community maintains a particular decorum and maintains a particular standard when they are conducting business, which is generally a desirable way of going ahead with business which is at present not regulated by any statutory provision. अब आ जाते हैं रेंट पे, which is probably one of the most impending issues which is going on in everybody's mind wherever there's a rented premises which is taken. 3 months abhi tak ho gaye hain probably. Coaching is not going on. We are not utilizing the premises. अब हम ये premises में है ही नहीं, हम utilize नहीं कर रहे हैं. We are not generating any specific finance out of it. Why do we pay that rent? We have invested resources in shifting from the physical medium to electronic medium, which we had never contemplated. Physical medium तो हम use ही नहीं कर रहे classes. Then why should we pay full rent? Whether we should pay full rent or not. Then how can we avoid paying rent? Now there is no concept as avoiding of paying of rent. What probably you can come out with again is a standard request or a amicable measure to resolve it. जैसे I have seen various institutions and various industry specific resolutions that are coming up. वो क्या करते हैं? They offer to you some part of their turnover as rent instead of monthly rent. जितना turnover होगा उतना rent देंगे. Additionally, what they do is deferred payment का एक scheme that we will defer these payments. We have 11-month lease, 3 months को adjust करना है. We'll adjust it when our use starts so that you get that period. Basically, what is done again with respect to loans, something like a moratorium. Then you have a situation where you can see partial payment of rent instead of full payment of rent. Now, these are things which have to be worked at individual levels. At the same time, what can be done at an association level is making a request or a representation seeking bringing out of a legislation. जैसे आप देखेंगे यूके में रुतेश सर कौन सा था एक कोरोना वायरस एक्ट 2020 यूके कोरोना वायरस एक्ट 2020. Now their parliament has enacted an act which provides protection to tenants or provides protection or deals with issues which are arising out of the impact of coronavirus. Now why don't we have such a law over here? Can we make a representation and seek bringing of such a law? Can we make a representation and seek legislative interference to bring certain norms which can help us out? Now, this issue of rent is not restricted to coaching institutes. It is to everybody. Like for me, I am also facing this issue that originally I am staying in Delhi, practicing in Delhi. Now, I am not staying in Delhi. I am in Nagpur right now for the past 3 months. But still, I have to pay rent. So, what is to be done? So, this is a issue which is being faced by the community at large. It's not an issue limited to a particular industry. And it's no longer a commercial issue. It's no longer a commercial issue because payment of rent is no longer a commercial issue since it is affecting the community at large. And it is being affected or the impact is because of COVID, which is beyond the hands of the landlord and beyond the hands of the tenant as well. It's a issue which has to be resolved through a mechanism that has to be that can be evolved at the legislative level as well. तो ये भी हमें सोचना है कि how it can be taken through the association level. At the same time, we don't want to escalate the issue if it can be amicably resolved. Agar if we have a cooperating landlord, why do we want to litigate? We don't want to litigate. We don't want to get into any dispute at all. If it can be resolved, the first objective is resolution. If disputes are reduced at this point in time, probably everyone is going to save, not except for us. If disputes are resolved, everyone is going to end up saving. So the first focus is as to how to work out on an amicable solution. For instance, if the landlord is agreeable, appoint a third party as the person who will decide what should be the rent at present. That decision can come quickly in 10 days or 15 days. He can be the arbitrator to decide issues over here. Or inter se if there are issues between members, those can be decided by arbitrators. There can be those agreements. There can be a provision in the code for reference of any disputes inter se between members to arbitrators. These are certain issues that we probably identified during the course of our interaction and our study. When we saw that COVID is coming into picture, there is going to be some effect of COVID on every sector. When we were looking at educational and coaching institutions, these are issues that came to our mind. Now, there are multiple issues that are beyond our mind. Reason being that we don't know how your business is conducted day to day. You are the most appropriate person to understand how your business is being conducted day to day. Now, if you can identify those issues, you might have multiple questions that have come to your mind or that may come to your mind. So, what I would probably request Telan sir is that if he can throw the forum open now for any questions that you might have or any specific issue related questions that you might have, which you want us to address or deal with.
Virag sir, Shendre sir wants to ask a question. Virag sir,
Yes, sir. I have unmuted him.
okay. Shendre sir, प्रश्न विचारा.
अनम्यूट करा स्क्रीन वरून.
हॅलो
हा.
सर, ऐकू येते का?
Yes.
Sir, I am very much thankful for your such a detailed deliberations which you have covered each and every aspect which some of us may not have thought of also being in this business. And a big thank to you. I want to have one question. You just said this education is a fundamentals, primary to school level. Beyond that, it is not fundamental, but still school, college enjoy the privileges of getting exemption from GST. And this is a naturally evolved system coaching particularly, which we are providing to the exams being conducted for getting admission to the competitive, to the medical or engineering and so on. So can we, and you sir suggested we should make a representation to the GST council or somebody. But I think it is going to fall on the deaf ear because they are not going to lose such a huge revenue. So can we have the option open? We challenge them for discrimination under Article 14 and get it resolved through Supreme Court or High Court? Maybe you can highlight on that.
I will want to address it in this manner that like we spoke of, resolution is the first and foremost objective. If it's an industry-wide issue of GST, why are we saying that you should represent first is that when a competent authority has power, then let it try and exercise its power, let it try and apply its mind. Probably you might be right in saying that it might fall on deaf ears if no action is taken upon it. But it should not be a case that when you go to court, you have not made a representation to the appropriate authority, not brought it to the notice of the appropriate authority, and the appropriate authority having failed to act, you are going to court. So if you directly go to court, the court is going to ask a first question, like this is going to be an issue which will be covered by a writ of mandamus. So a writ of mandamus has the first requirement. If a statutory authority has the power, have you asked that authority to exercise that power? And whether that authority has refused and rejected to exercise that power. If it has not, then how are you seeking a writ of mandamus? That is one.
No, if
Second,
my
when you
knowledge
say
is
of Article
correct,
14,
about 3-4 months
Yes.
back, the big institutes in India like Alain and supported by big brands, national brands, they had made the finance minister and also given the representation. This is the thing on GST.
that is
Of
that
course,
is that
we
is
don't have
exactly
much
what we are
details.
speaking of.
Sorry?
Yes, that is exactly what we are speaking of. We came to know about that representation. That representation has been directed to be referred back to state authorities.
Yeah.
Now, this representation, when it has been directed to be referred to state authorities, whether those representations have been made to state authorities and state finance ministers.
But it is not a state
This is
subject,
the-
it is
yes, those-
addressed by GST Council.
Yes, but that is what we read in the papers. So once you make a representation and you get such sort of a response, the answer is that you have to go to the High Court. Like we suggested, one mode of operation that you make a representation, it's not being taken notice of, it's not being addressed. So what you do is you file a writ saying that we have made a representation, ask the authority to apply its mind and decide the representation, whether in our favor or against us, but ask it to apply its mind and decide it. Once there is a decision, whether that decision is right or wrong, we can challenge it once again.
I think President and Secretary are there in this meeting today. I think they will agree to this because this is the point which we can definitely fight with the government legally as well as by representation, as you suggested. That can be fought of. I think so. But thanks for your this deliberation. Thank you, sir.
Right, sir.
सर और किसी को कुछ पूछना है सर से? गणवीर सर, Gandhir sir, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, all the points are covered, and thanks for taking the initiatives. बहुत सारे सर एक क्वेश्चन था कि schools and junior colleges are, as you said that, and as we know that they are recognized by the government, and degree colleges also. But to take the admission in degree colleges, many entrance examinations are being conducted by the government also. But while conducting that entrance examination by coaching institute, so neither the government, as I know that they don't consider as recognized by the government. So in how manner, by paying only GST or by paying only professional taxes, that is the only the recognition by the government that we are recognized by the government, or there should be any another regulation, there should be any another way that we should be identified by the government.
Sir, the question probably here is as to how coaching institutes can be given recognition or identification in the eyes of the government. That can be done only through a statute, like was proposed in 3 statutes, which I had explained. These 3 statutes sought to regulate coaching institutions, and probably under those statutes there might be some requirement where you have to be registered with the authority, and you would have to carry a registration number, just like in GST, and then you would receive that recognition that this is a recognized or a registered coaching institution. So that can come only when there is a legislative guideline, or you can say that a legislative framework for providing recognition to coaching institutes. For that, probably what you will have to do is you will have to seek a legislation from the respective state or from the center that these are the coaching institutes, this is what their requirement is, you are not recognizing coaching institutes, we are ready to be regulated, but provided you provide recognition to these institutes, then it can probably happen. At present, there is no mechanism of giving an independent recognition because there is no statutory mechanism in place. There is no law governing coaching institutes as a subject specific relating to this business.
Yes, sure. Sir, one practical question is there, probably facing by many among us, more or less, sometimes once in a year, or sometimes more than that also. And that is related to the police matter. Actually, when we take the admission in our classes, we actually do fill the form from the student, while also we take the undertakings and related to the all rules and regulation and norms also. But when there is some dispute arises in the coaching, and when they demand for the refund of the fees after attending 2 classes or more than 1 month classes, even after that, also some coaching institute have residential institute. Apart from coaching, they provide some residential facilities also. In both manner, when we tell them that we are unable to pay the entire refund or partial refund also after attending some lectures, so they used to go toward the police case, to make the police cases or a complaint to the police. And when we tell the police that this is a matter between them and us, and we have already signed up all the undertakings and all that, but police said that are you or aap government ho kya, aap is tarah se, so they treat us just like we are a criminal, snatching the monies from them. And they also charge many times of 420 वाला कंडीशन भी इस तरह से वो फाइल करते हैं. तो इसके ऊपर क्या हम इस चीज को कैसे हैंडल करें, कुछ बता सकते हैं? Can you tell?
Over here, what probably I would like to inform is this is basically what we are speaking of. There needs to be a set policy.
Yes.
110% आपके terms and conditions होंगे. But if those terms and conditions reflect as a, मतलब जैसे बिल में देते हैं, ऊपर बिल है और नीचे 4 terms and conditions है. अगर यही रहा, तो how do you say that there is a policy? This is a matter of policy. कि हमने admission दी तो ये policy के अंदर admission दी है, ये बच्चे ने ऐसी admission ली है, इसका ये बोलना है, ये policy जब उसने sign की है, he understands everything. It's a contract between the coaching institution and the student or his parent. And अगर ये contract को वो breach करना चाहते हैं, तो ये liability civil है. This has nothing, no criminal aspect in it. अब जब criminal law की बात आती है, since you have raised an issue of section 420. Section 420 cheating deals with an intention that has to be there right since the inception. अब ये आपको probably I don't think some police person is going to tell you, but you need to know that for establishing an offense of cheating, the intention to cheat has to flow right since the beginning. The design has to be that I am going to do this and cheat this individual. It cannot be that out of a civil action, just because there is an element seen by one of the parties कि ये मेरी requirement satisfy नहीं हो रही है तो मैं इसको cheating में convert कर देता हूँ. That cannot be the case. The complaint has to say कि इन्होंने जब मेरे से admission ली तभी इनका intention था मुझे cheat करने का. कोई complainant ऐसा नहीं बोलेगा सर. हर एक complainant यही बोलता होगा कि मैं coaching institute गया, मैंने class लिए, class के बाद मैंने छोड़ना चाहा तो ये मुझे fees वापस नहीं कर रहा, मैंने तो 5 ही class किए, उसके बाद किए ही नहीं. That time you have to be able to show wide documentation कि ये document इसने sign किया हुआ है, this is the contract, this is our agreement, and as per this agreement, he has agreed to forfeit his fees in case he attends X classes, does not communicate to us that he wants to leave these classes at a particular point in time, or does not follow the conditions laid down there. So this condition has to be advertised properly. If this condition is not advertised properly, and if this condition, when the police calls us, if you are unable to demonstrate all of this in documentation, it becomes difficult. At the same time, मान लीजिए कोई FIR register कर ही देता है, नहीं सुनते हैं, FIR register हो गया. There is a mechanism of having the FIR quashed. There are various grounds for having the FIR quashed. Those grounds are succinctly explained by the Supreme Court in various judgments. अब जैसे for example, if a civil case is tried to be given a criminal flavor when there is no criminality involved, then probably an FIR might be quashed. When in such circumstances you face a criminal complaint or a first information report being registered, the appropriate step for you to take is, if it's a fit case, you can go for quashing of the complaint, जिसमें you have to go to the High Court, and the High Court, in case it finds the grounds made out, will quash and set aside the complaint. That means it will stop all proceedings pursuant to that complaint if the case is allowed, and it will set aside, जो बोलते हैं ना रद्द कर देना, वो complaint रद्द कर देगा if it's a fit case for doing it. So therefore, to ensure that हम protected रहे, हम सारी चीजें बराबर से advertise करें, you have to have it documented. In any case, if you don't have a policy, it's going to be left to whims and fancies of somebody to decide. अगर आपकी documented policy है, then it is there in writing. This is what the agreement says, and it has to happen as per the agreement. अगर आप agreement पढ़ के sign कर रहे हैं, इसका मतलब आपको समझा है आप क्या sign कर रहे हैं. So those, like I said, while dealing with contracts, it has to be specifically documented. अगर आप बराबर से document करते हो, तो बराबर हो सकता है.
Okay, sir. Sure, sir. Thank you. It means that हमें तो ऐसा लगता है कि we should be protected by your teamwork also. Okay, because
No, definitely. If in case you need any legal advice, we are there.
Yes.
But the object of this webinar is not specifically to advertise ourselves. The object of this webinar is to try and help you understand what are the legal.
Actually, before this webinar, actually, we were in discussion with LM sir and Bondre sir that we should have this legal support for the entire association, not for the individual one, so that all we should be protected by such kind of uncertainties, whether this be a criminal offenses or likewise that uncertainty of COVID also. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir, from my side.
Thank you.
Any other question, anyone?
Anyone want to ask a question? So I think I should request our president, Shri Rajnikant Bondre sir, to have a word on this issue and express the thanks to the guest. Over to Rajnikant sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Panini sir.
Thank you.
All the honorable members of ACI and the main speaker of today's webinar, Mr. Rishikesh Ji Chitale. Chitale sir, you have given a wonderful insight regarding our coaching business rather. कई चीजें ऐसी थी कि जो हमें मालूम भी नहीं थी, वो भी आपने हमें बता दी है. ठीक है. And due to these insights, now many questions are raised in our minds. And definitely we are thinking in these directions. We want to take our association to the higher level of protection. Okay. And definitely we have to make certain representations to the government also. So the seminar, today's webinar was wonderful. Deliberations were wonderful, and it will be very much helpful to us. And I'm very much thankful to you from all the members of SEI, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. And it's a collective effort of all our partners who are sitting with me.
Yes, definitely.
So nice.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you, team. Thank you very
so
much.
sir.
Panini sir, thanks personally to you for having arranged these things. I'm so delighted with the deliberation, as if I am hearing the arguments in Supreme Court.
Oh, great.
So nice of you, sir. So learned and so spellbound. Hats off to you, sir. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to the team ACI as well as team Adirath. Thank you.
Thank you.
सर भेटतो मी तुम्हाला आपण बोलूया नंतर मग सर चितळे सर आपण बोलू नंतर मग तसं थँक्यू सर थँक्यू
Definitely, sir. Definitely.